Welcome to Lesson 4, Plan Point. Here in this segment, I'm going to go through the process of drawing your own city-ready pool plan. In this segment, we're going to touch on things that we discussed in Lessons 1, 2, and 3 about elevations in this segment. But before we get started, let's discuss some pre-plan routines that you're going to want to go through. And what we have here is we have the Fade Out Design sketch vellum sheets that we discuss on our website. And with these tear out sheets, you would want to go ahead and do your measurements in your backyard. And again, they're not necessary to be to scale. But in this case, what we did was we have two tear out sheets here. And you can see what we did was we start, as I shared with you in the lessons prior to 4, we want to start on the corner of the house, and we want to go from the corner back and then create the measurement to the fence line. So here we have 16 feet, here we have 12, 16, 68, 64. We have these measurements that we discussed in the previous lessons on how to get those. So what I've done is I've taped this down on a board, and what we're going to do is we're going to slide that under our vellum now, and we're going to transfer these lines to the actual construction vellum. So here we've placed our tear sheets for our sketch pad on the cardboard. We've got our measurements, and we've slid it between the vellum and the backing board. And what we want to do at this point in drawing your city-ready pool plan is your plan is going to have notes that are going to need to be attached to your plan. And so what we want to do at this point is we have the ability for this to float underneath the vellum. I've taped the top ends to keep the vellum secured to the backboard, but I've left this side untaped to be able to access our measurement drawing and to slide it around without moving the top vellum. So what you want to do is you put it underneath, and as you can see, we can move it around to position it for the best possible place on our plan. And what I want you to draw attention to is our property line and our home right here. In the city requirements, they're going to also want you to draw the driveway and the approach ramp and to mark the street location. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this back, and we're going to give ourselves enough room to be able to have the plan drawing shifted to the side of the plan, giving us this margin right here for notation, and the upper section for notation attachment before we go to print. So what I'm doing is I'm positioning it here, and it's giving us enough space across the front for our driveway and our street location. Okay, so now that we've positioned the backing board with the trace lines of our property and our house behind the vellum, we've got a comfortable space here for the approach ramp. What we want to do is just to draw that in, and so you just simply trace the house lines from the lines that come through the vellum. And the nice thing about 1/8 scale vellum is there are little blocks with light lines that are on the paper that allow you to follow your 1/8 scale, so it's really nice to have. So I recommend that you use the vellums that have that 1/8 block, and simply just go through the trace of the property like this. We're bringing that forward. All the measurements have all been pre-done. So now you're done with the home. We're going to go ahead and trace the property line, and get that onto our vellum, and it's really simple. Now if you had some angles, we would just, we'd just be verifying those angles, but this property that we're using to show you is just a very simple, straightforward property. So that took a couple of seconds there, maybe a minute. Now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw in the driveway. So we have our driveway here, and then our street, and then we're going to do our walkway to the front. Now, the thing about a city-ready pool plan is that it is not necessary to draw in exactly what it is that you have in the front. If you have a custom walkway and all this, there's no need to turn in a city-ready pool plan with all that. They want to know an existing driveway and a walkway to the front. And so we don't want you to have to go through all of that. But here we're going to just connect our front and our sides. And that is how you take a tracing pre-measured drawing from a site and slide it behind your vellum. And so now what we're going to do is we're just simply going to remove the traced portion, and we're going to move that out of the way. And now we have our vellum ready for our pool drawing. And so before we get started, I'd like to go through and talk about the items that we need to draw the pool, and that would be these items right here. As we talked about before, here is a triangle architectural ruler, and we spoke about having the 1/8 mark ability. Now again, 1/8 of an inch are these little first little lines. So each line you want to start always on the 0, and then your first block, second block, third block. So each block, 1/8 scale equals 1 foot. So 1 whole inch would be 8 feet. Here we have our circles. So you want some circle templates to be able to create your pathways and your walkways and your pool shapes if you're going to have a freeform pool. Now in this, for this plan segment, we have chosen, of our 3, in your members area, you're able to download 3 pool shapes. Now custom shapes are available. If you email me and ask me for a custom shape, we'll be glad to get you one or help you, okay? But in this version, we've chosen this rock pool, rock slide around the spa, and so that's going to be what we use for our drawing today. And so these are the tools that you need, and we'll get started with our drawing now. Okay, so before we get started with drawing the swimming pool, we need to create the numerical value for our property lines. So we have them drawn in. So now what we want to do is we want to take our 1/8 ruler, we want to place the 0 on the top of the line, and now your ruler will give you 1/8 inch measurements up to 92 feet. So we're going to put a little dot there, and we're going to come down here, and that's what the calculator's for. So we have 92 and 65. So we have 92 plus 65 is 157. So what you want to do is just write a 157 and a little foot mark. Now, since our property is proportionate, we know that this side will be 157, but if it wasn't, then you just go ahead and measure that. So then we get our back property line, put it on the 0 on the line, and we go ahead with our 92. We have a nice wide lot here, so we put 92 plus 27 is 119, so we put our value right there. So these are the 3 values that we want before we get started. The next item on our list that we want to cover is we want to block in the house. And what that entails is simply just by going along each wall a 1/8 of an inch away and drawing a line. So we just go around the entire house, and we don't want to, we can skip blocking in the fireplace if you want. Now on the garage side, we have a door, so we're not going to close that off. That's a garage door, so we're going to come up, and again, we're just blocking it in. This is part of creating a plan for the city, and it'll all make sense as we go along here, but we just want to go all the way around 1/8 of an inch around the entire property, the entire house. Okay, so then once we have that closed in, then we want to go ahead and we want to mark where the exits of the house are. So the doors are sliders. So the front door obviously goes right here, and we want to do that with a triangle. So you just draw a triangle and shade that in, and that'll indicate the exit out to the front. And then a slider is done with 2 little lines. So you have this is what indicates a slider, are 2 lines, you know, crossing each other like that, like we have right here. And then a triangle will indicate that that's a way out. Okay, so now once we have it all blocked in, we've indicated our exits out the front and our exits out the back. We want to go through and we want to mark a W where there's windows. So we had 1 window here, 1 window here. We had a window over on the side. We had 2 in the front. So, and then 1 in the back over here, nothing along this side, and then 1 real big picture window out there. So now that we've marked our windows, now what you do to complete shading the block of the house is we want to just go ahead and take our pencil and we want to just shade the area of the house like so. And then we don't shade over the window, we just shade that. So you just basically color that in like so. So again, we just continue with the shading process around the house, like so, till we have it all shaded in. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to represent the walls of the house. And what it does is it allows the inspectors and the plan permit folks behind the counter to establish that, oh, okay, this is a structure, because that's the design language that they're used to looking at. So once we have our shaded in, the next thing that we want to do with our plan, and this would be a part where you would have gone to your city by now on your members area before you have gotten to Plan Point. We've shared with you that you would want to go to your local city and find out about any setbacks or easements. Now these are requirements, setbacks are requirements that would apply to the location of the water's edge to your property line and also your swimming pool equipment. These 2 items have setback requirements. Pool equipment, they don't want it right on the fence line for reasons of noise to your neighbor and other things, to be able to repair the fence and whatnot. And then the same thing, they have setbacks from water's edge to property line for primarily if a peace officer is chasing somebody through your backyard. I think they came up with that so the poor guy wouldn't jump the fence and land in your pool. So there's all kinds of reasons, but each city has their own, and you want to be able to have those in front of you at this point. Now an easement is a utility easement, or maybe there was underground water main or something within that area. All these things would have been disclosed in your mortgage documents, but sometimes after you've been in your home for a few years and you know you're doing this process, maybe you might not know. So we really recommend that you've gone at this point down to go and get those 2 documents.